Before I answer this question, let me say that the universe is a whole lot stranger than we could possibly imagine. There's your oversoul, your higher self, and then you. And your higher self informs you of your individual destiny. Those who seek outside of themselves, they are still separate from source. Your joy is your soul's evolution. I want you to just know the truth of these words. You are a master soul incarnate. You have come here to show others how to live with an open heart in a world that tells you to close it. Your heart blooms. It blooms like an infinite flower fractal. This is the process of fluorescence. Eventually you bloom into the lightest aspect of your being, and then you become a cosmic ray of light, and your flower keeps blooming, and your fractal keeps changing, and you know yourself as divinity. Hello, my name is Eluña. I'm an Akashic channeler and a psycho-spiritual healer and teacher, and this video is very different than the other videos that are usually on my channel. This was the final recording of the live Q&As that I usually hold for the members of my Circle membership, and because it was the last one, it was just so special and so beautiful, and there was so much beauty that came through. I really just wanted to share it. And so I have posted it on here, although normally this is something that is really only for my members to see and to experience. Every month, the members get to submit their questions, and then I intuitively, with my higher self, she tells me which questions to pick, and I channel the answers. Sometimes the channeled answers are just me doing open-eyed channel and intuitively based answers. Other times I will go into direct channel and allow other beings to speak through me. They kind of let me know who would like to answer and if they want me to answer with my eyes open or not. And in this case, you'll end up hearing that my guides encouraged me to answer all of the questions that they chose with my eyes open. So that is what I ended up doing, which was a unique and really beautiful experience to be able to just actually connect fully and keep my eyes open with everyone. That was just really lovely for me on my end. That was a nice thing to do. But then we closed it with a little meditation, and it was just, there was so much beauty. I definitely cried, especially just this being the last Q&A of the year. It was very, very special. And this is really quite a intimate look into the community of the Circle and just the type of people that you can expect there, the energy that you can expect in that space, the questions that come from the beings in that space. There's just, it's so much beauty. That's why I was crying, because it's so full of love and so full of beauty. And it's really what it feels like to me is this is a snapshot and a really a model of the future. It's of where humanity is going and the types of communities that we are creating and that we are going to be living in. And so this is an opportunity for you to get a little taste of that and to feel some of this beauty. If you are in need of some love, some joy, and some beauty, then this video will be very comforting for you, I trust. So I hope that you enjoy it, and thank you all for your continued support of this work. It's beautiful to be able to connect with my YouTube community and with the other people who are in the Circle membership. It's truly just, it's my greatest joy and my greatest honor to be able to serve in this way and connect with each of you. So thank you all for the love and support. I am wishing you a beautiful solstice season with many, many magical things to come your way. I love you all. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Nice to see your smiling faces. Oh my gosh. It never ceases to be a gift for me. Oh my goodness. Hi. Hi, Rochelle. Oh, it's good to see you. And Amanda, hello. Hello, Jim. Nice to see you again. Thank you for being here. Hello, Christine and Maury. Welcome. Nice to see you. A few more people are coming in, so I will let that happen. While I share just a couple things with you all. So, this year started for me very different than any other year. January 1st, 2024 really was, it felt like the first time in my life that a new year really meant a new me. And I just had never previously experienced anything like that before. But I knew that I was going into this year very differently. It was an invitation from my guides, basically, this question of, are you going to step up? Are you going to accept our invitation to you to move into a different way of being and a different way of life? And what I know and what I am so thankful for is that I am only able to do this because each of you, at some point in your soul's contract, in your soul's journey, and in this lifetime, you chose to say yes to supporting me in taking this responsibility on. And I can feel so clearly how reciprocal of a relationship this is. Even if you cannot, it can only happen because each of you have said yes to this. I hold that with so much gratitude and reverence that your soul and your own sovereignty is saying yes to me stepping into this part of my sovereignty and stepping into this part of my soul. So I want to say a very heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you, regardless of if you and I have spoken or if we ever will speak face to face or camera to camera on Zoom in a reading. You have impacted my life and my soul's development far more than you probably can possibly realize right now. It's more than I could possibly realize right now, but I can feel the depth of it. And so I really want to acknowledge each of you and each of the people who are not currently here on camera, but who are present in the membership with all of us, this beautiful community that we are building. This is part of the future. That's why we are all here. And it's an honor. It is sincerely the deepest honor that I get to be here with you and to walk alongside you on this path toward our future for humanity. So I wanted to say that. Thank you for being with me this whole year, moving through the evolution of myself and the evolution of this community, of the circle, and of the different live events that I offer, both in person now as well as on the camera. Thank you. Thank you, truly. I can hear when some of you respond. So just want you to know that right here. Let us move into these beautiful questions, and I will let Jasper, my tech guru, take over so he can read them to me.
First question is from Anjum. What is the difference between inner being, higher self, and higher or oversoul?
Oh, I loved this question. I'm so grateful that you asked. Many people ask this question, actually. I get this question a lot. So, again, this is my understanding. And before I answer this question, let me say that the universe is a whole lot stranger than we could possibly imagine, first and foremost. And the universe is part of our creation. And so the way that you perceive things is the way that you're going to experience things because it's the creation that you're making. So while there are certain things that are kind of collectively held, there are other definitions and perceptions that really they get to be individual. I'm saying that because this is my individual understanding and perception of these things, and I encourage you to ask yourself and develop your own relationship with them so that you can know what your perception is. And that's going to inform you about the way that you operate in this world as a creator. So, this is just my understanding and definition. I'll start with Oversoul because that's the farthest out. Well, it's not out as far out as Source. Source is the farthest out, and then we come in a few layers, and we have our Oversoul. The Oversoul is it contains multiple souls. So, some people give it numbers. Some people say that there are 144 souls in one oversoul. Um, Other people say a lot higher number, 144,000 souls in one oversoul. I'm not very concerned with the number. It's just not relevant to me. So whatever the number is whatever the number is. But there's a certain number of souls that are connected to an oversoul. Your higher self is connected to your oversoul and in a way is the voice of your oversoul. So there's your oversoul, your higher self, and then you, the you that you experience down here on earth. And your higher self speaks to you and informs you of your individual destiny and how you are fulfilling that on behalf of your oversoul. So you can think about your higher self like a mediary between your oversoul and this human form that we have. So part of the reason why being in touch with your higher self is so valuable and helpful is because you are receiving the clearest form of guidance that you can from your oversoul who knows your and has actually created your destiny, your highest evolution, and the path that you are here to walk. I want to clarify because I can hear some questions coming from you about does destiny mean that we aren't creating it ourselves? You are creating it yourself. There it's a paradox. So it's difficult for humans' minds to understand, but I will do my best to explain. The oversoul has its own evolution, right? Just like any soul has its evolution, the oversoul has its own evolution and the way that it is both experiencing but also creating as source. So it is experiencing source and simultaneously creating as source. And so are we. We're just a little bit farther down here, but we're still source. We are creating and experiencing as our oversoul and as source because our oversoul is also source. So it's just a few layers in, and it's a way to understand who you can connect with. But I want to also say, if you enter into, let's say, a meditative state or a devotional practice of some kind, and your intention is to connect with God and not your oversoul, that's great. You you can that please keep connecting with God or the universe, the creator, however you see it. Please keep connecting with that. You cannot go wrong in this way. And if you have a desire to connect really deeply with your higher self, then connect with your higher self. Trust that who you feel called and feel strongly to connect with, that is who you are meant to be connecting with at the time. Your higher self, because it's a mediary, it really can help with life on earth. Your higher self typically, not for every person. My higher self is very practical. And so when there are certain things that come up, certain choices in my life that come up, she really helps me make a choice that is practical and not impulsive, for example. Some people have shared that their higher self has told them to do things that are what I would consider to be a bit impulsive. And maybe that's how their higher self works, because maybe being impulsive is part of their soul's growth. I just know that being impulsive is something I've already done. And so part of my soul's growth is to practice temperance more and to be a little bit more considerate in the way that I move about the world. So that's how my higher self encourages me. And that's why I personally find it very beneficial to connect with your higher self and just spend time with them and feel the energy that comes from them without any other agenda. Just to feel their energy. And then as you continue to feel that energy, see what qualities you would give that energy. For example, my higher self is very balanced. She walks the middle path. I know that because this lower self is has tended to be very extreme in life. It's been black or white, it's been one or the other. And my higher self is always in the middle path. That's an aspect of her that I am very familiar with and comfortable with now. So look at yourself. And one of the ways that I was able to learn my higher self more was really looking at the qualities of my shadow self. Your shadow self is going to express kind of opposite qualities to your higher self, which makes sense, right? Your higher self is kind of your light body and your shadow self is the shadow body. So the way that I learned some of the qualities of my higher self was by looking at some of the qualities of my shadow self and knowing and just seeing certain experiences that I had in life. If it led me down a down a path that wasn't very good or didn't feel very good, what was it that led me there? And that could inform me about a shadow self quality, which then told me the opposite would be with my higher self. So then I could start practicing the opposite of that quality, if that makes sense. But again, if you want to tune into source, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with that. So I hope that is helpful. Thank you very much for your question.
This next question is from Jen. Could you please share more on the great importance of joy and how it works
Mm.
and supports? I would love to better understand how joy works energetically in diffusing density slash heaviness. How can I support an inner shift so that joy can get grounded and embodied for the benefit of all?
Okay, see, this is a perfect follow-up question, of course, because your soul's evolution, your oversoul and your higher self and your lower self's evolution, which I just remembered I didn't answer inner self, so I will do that. It is all connected to joy. So let me say your inner self is complex. It's as complex as the human mind is, uh, which makes tends to make things more complex than they need to be. We have multiple inner selves. Let me just say that first. There is more than one inner child, and there are many aspects of you that are different ages. So when we have certain experiences happen to us at different times in our life, sometimes it's certain traumas. Sometimes, and I want to be clear, it's not just a trauma. It can also be a very important event that is defining, even if looking back as an adult, you wonder how could that have been defining? But for your 14-year-old self or your 7-year-old self, it was a defining moment of making you yourself, you. I will say that if you are curious about exploring this more, I highly recommend looking into transpersonal psychology, um, as well as the pillow technique. That's part of transpersonal psychology. That's where you basically have a conversation with between you and this inner self. And you can do that anytime. You could do that with journaling too, right? You could say, I would like to meet one of my inner selves who is available to talk to me, and just see who comes through. You could do that in the mirror. You could do mirror work with your inner self. And sometimes people, this pillow therapy that I'm talking about, sometimes people find it helpful. It's more somatic. So you sit in one chair, excuse me, you sit in one chair as you, and you say, I'd like to talk to my inner self. And then you move to another chair and you respond to you that is in that other chair. So you have this back and forth conversation. So those are some ways to get in touch with your inner self. There you go. And when it comes to joy, the joy that you feel in any of yourselves, real joy is not dependent on it is not dependent on a circumstance, as in it is always available. The conditions for joy and happiness are always available to you. And when you feel deep joy about engaging in a certain activity, something that interests you, such as gardening, if you feel your absolute joy when you are gardening, then that is a path for you to follow. And that is an indicator that that is actually part of your soul's evolution. Humans and the human mind really love to make things very, very grandiose. and it's unnecessary. Grandiosity is actually an indication of a lack of evolution. So I want to say that in another way. Living a simple life is an indication of high consciousness because there is a satisfaction with exactly what is before you. There is no separation and no experience of lack living in simplicity. Those who seek outside of themselves and seek to consume in many ways through media, through purchasing items, through various other means, they are not satisfied, which means they do not yet hold a level of consciousness that is connected to source. They are still separate from source because there is a lack that they are trying to meet by consuming. Grandiosity, living a life in the public realm, having your name in the lights, various ways of saying that, is not an indication of spiritual advancement or spiritual evolution. It does not indicate that. That is simply part of the path or the evolution of that particular being for some reason. And there's actually no way for us as an individual to look at someone else's life and determine why that is part of their evolution. Our job is to tend to our hearts and our joy. Your job, your purpose, it's just to cultivate your own joy. That's all. Your joy is your destiny. Your joy is your soul's evolution. And when you are lit up with joy, that is when you are connected to your oversoul and they are cheering you on, saying, yes, you did it. You heard us. This is what we, as a collective of souls, and I, as an oversoul, this is what I want to experience. This is what I need to experience in order to evolve, in order to understand how this aspect of source, of the creator, is expressing itself through me. That's why people finding their own form of expression, their own form of art is so important because that is God expressing itself through you with your own unique version of source in that way. It's coming through you. So wherever you find your joy, I want you to know that that is actually your form of art. If we look at art, the definition of it, as spirit coming through you and expressing itself through you, then wherever you find joy is also spirit coming through you and expressing itself through you, which means your joy is your art. So we are all artists. We are all artists. We are all destined to be artists, if you want to look at it that way. The more that we allow joy to move through us, the greater amount of spirit moves through us, in us, and the more that it comes out onto this world. If there were joy everywhere, we would be living in a very different way. No? World peace would not be so far away. Heaven on earth is a place filled with joy. So create that. Create that heaven on earth in your heart and live with your soul's full expression through joy. That's why it's so important. And all of the other questions that you asked, which are very helpful, density is lifted. Density cannot exist when there is true joy. And your soul is made of light, so you cannot feel heavy. I'm glad you asked. It's a beautiful question.
The final question
Mm.
is from June. How can one have an open heart in a world where most people's hearts are closed?
I'm so glad you asked this, and I really wanted to, yeah, close out this Q&A with this question when I felt into it because that is That is the task of each of us who have chosen to come here. And if you are watching this now or in the future, I want you to just know the truth of these words. You are a master soul incarnate. You are a master incarnate. You have come here to show others how to live with an open heart in a world that tells you to close it, in a world that tells you to be afraid, in a world that tells you that you should not be vulnerable because it is scary and you will get hurt. You are a master. That is why you are here. You are so masterful that even when they took all of your memory of who you are, of where you come from, of your divine connection to Source, even when they took all of that away, you're still right here asking how to open your heart. That's how you know you're a master, because you're still asking that question. I want you all to really feel the truth of that, the depth of that truth. You are brave enough to be alive on this planet and have to work so hard, it feels like, to remember yourself. And you still chose to come here. And you're still choosing to ask, how can I open my heart even more in a world that is grieving and full of pain? How can I do that? You're asking that question, which means you already know how. You just need to remember. And it's just a practice. That inner fractal. Our chakras are fractals. And as you open more and more, your heart blooms. It blooms like an infinite flower fractal. And everything that comes from it becomes more and more beautiful. The petals become silkier. The color becomes more vibrant. The scent becomes more irresistible. And everything is drawn to you. Your heart is your magnet. And the more that you open it, the more that comes to you, which is why everything that you give away ends up becoming everything that you receive. Everything. And that is a very good transition for this very brief, because we are already at 11 and I don't want to keep you all much longer, meant to be an hour. But let's take a moment now to feel our hearts. If you would like to place a hand or both hands over your heart center, I welcome you to do so. Close your eyes. Let your body melt into this moment. You are right here. Feel your heart. That is you. What is blooming in your heart? Let it be whatever it is. Any emotion, any sensation, let it bloom. The more you let your heart bloom, the more you come to know the depth of your own soul. There is infinity within your heart. Your heart is its own universe, and it is infinite. Notice what is arising for you now. What is blooming in your heart in this moment? And you don't have to name it. You don't have to understand it. You can just feel it. Let your body relax and feel even more deeply into your heart. Notice how calm your breath is. Notice how soft your awareness is. And now go deeper into your heart. Be curious. What is in there? There's a whole universe for you to explore. The more you tune into your heart, the more that you bring your awareness here, the more it knows that it is safe to open. And this infinite flower, this cosmic flower, it blooms and blooms. This is the process of fluorescence. Eventually you bloom into the lightest aspect of your being, and then you become a cosmic ray of light, and your flower keeps blooming, and your fractal keeps changing, and you know yourself as divinity. You can only see yourself as divine as you see another. And you can only see another as divine as you see yourself. Allow every part of you to be an aspect of the divine. See yourself through the eyes of the divine. You are worthy and you are whole right here. There's no need to prove that you are whole. There is nothing you need to complete to show that you are worthy or divine. It is simply an aspect of your being that you become aware of. And the more you become aware of it, every day you practice, the more natural it becomes, until it is how you live your life, because it is how your flower blooms each and every moment. Feel your heart again. And if you wish to stay in this place, I fully welcome you to. If you are ready to come back, you can slowly deepen your breath. Move your hands and feet and come back to your body. It's actually a bit difficult to get off because this is my last live event of the year. I would love, I would love to see some of you in Sedona if you are able to join. It's at the very beginning of 2025. All the information for that is on my website. It's a live event, in-person event that I will be doing. If you want to come to that, it would be amazing. There will be many other channelers and beautiful people there. It will be nice to be with them. And it would be an honor to be with you, to meet you in person, to hug you, to be able to hold your face in my hands. I would absolutely love. So, now that you know that your joy is part of your infinite aspect, now that you know that your joy is the evolution of your soul and that it blooms in your heart the more you become aware of it, how are you going to spend these next 15 days of this year? What would you like to commit to for yourself? How are you going to honor the beloved within you? I hope you revere yourself. I hope you revere the love that emanates from this deepest and most holy aspect of your being, your heart. I hope you all have a beautiful solstice season. I will be celebrating and, of course, renewing my vows on that day. And I wish you all a beautiful, happy new year going into 2025. There is so much more to uncover together. I love each and every one of you. And thank you for being my teachers and my supporters and the outer aspects of the beloved for me. I am so blessed to be with you. I love you. May you remember your magic today.